The studio lights of Andy Cohen Live glowed brightly, reflecting off the polished floor, and the giant screens, flashing Leanne Morgan's name. The audience buzzed with excitement. Leanne Morgan, America's beloved Southern comedian, known for her warmth, humor, and down-to-earth charm, walked onto the stage waving, her signature smile lighting up the room. Andy Cohen stood up from his chair, clapping enthusiastically. "Give it up for the hilarious Leanne Morgan," he announced. Leanne hugged Andy, laughing. "Well, Andy, I've never been this dressed up to sit down and talk," she joked, earning instant laughter from the crowd. At first, everything felt light and friendly. Andy asked about her sold-out tour, her family, and how her late-in-life success felt after years of performing small shows. Leanne spoke honestly, telling stories about her kids, her marriage, and the awkward moments that inspired her comedy. The audience loved her. Andy smiled, nodding along. But then the tone subtly shifted. Andy leaned forward, cards in hand. "So, Leanne," he said casually, "your popularity has exploded. With that comes opinions. Some critics say your comedy avoids hard topics, politics, controversy, real conflict. Do you think playing it safe is why you're successful?" The laughter faded slightly. Leanne tilted her head, still smiling, but her eyes changed. "Well, Andy, I don't think kindness is safe," she replied gently. "I talk about real life, marriage, aging, motherhood. That's real conflict for a lot of folks." Andy chuckled, but pressed on. "Sure, but some say comedy should challenge people more. Do you worry you're not saying enough?" A murmur moved through the audience. Leanne shifted in her chair. "I spent years being ignored," she said. "Now people listen. I choose not to yell at them." Andy raised an eyebrow. "But isn't that avoiding responsibility?" That was the moment. The room felt tighter. The cameras zoomed in. Leanne's smile slowly faded. "Andy," she said calmly, "I don't believe making people laugh without tearing others down is irresponsible." Andy glanced at the camera, sensing tension, but instead of easing up, he leaned in. "Some would say that's a privilege," he said. "Not everyone can afford to stay neutral." The audience went silent. Leanne took a deep breath. The warmth that defined her was still there, but now something stronger rose beneath it, and the storm was just beginning. Leanne folded her hands in her lap, choosing her words carefully. "Andy, I grew up watching my mama stretch groceries for a week," she said. "I'm not neutral. I just don't weaponize pain for applause." The crowd clapped softly. Andy nodded, but his expression hardened. "But your platform is massive now," he said. "Don't you think you owe people more honesty about where you stand?" Leanne's voice remained steady but firm. "I owe people honesty, yes. Not permission to judge me for how I survive." Andy sighed, glancing at his cards. "Let me ask it this way. Have you ever avoided jokes because you didn't want backlash?" Leanne looked straight at him. "I've avoided jokes that would hurt people who already feel small." That earned louder applause. Andy smiled tightly. "Some would argue that's not comedy, that's comfort." The word comfort hung in the air like an insult. Leanne leaned forward now. "And what's wrong with comfort?" she asked. "The world is on fire, Andy. People come to my shows to breathe." Andy laughed lightly, but it didn't land. "Isn't that escapism?" That was it. Leanne's southern softness dropped, not into anger, but into clarity. "Andy," she said, "I came here to talk about my work, not to be interrogated for not performing outrage." The audience gasped softly. Andy raised his hands. "No one's interrogating—" "Yes, you are," Leanne interrupted, still calm but unyielding. "You're framing kindness as cowardice, and I won't accept that." Silence. Andy shifted in his chair. "I think viewers deserve authenticity," he said. Leanne stood up. "And I'm being authentic right now," she replied. Which means knowing when a conversation stops being curious and starts being disrespectful. The audience erupted, some clapping, some shocked. Andy stood as well. "Leanne, sit down." "No," she said softly but firmly. "I won't." She turned to the audience. "I love y'all. Thank you for listening to me in a world that keeps demanding louder instead of better." Andy looked stunned. Leanne removed her mic, placed it gently on the chair, and walked off the stage. The cameras scrambled. Producers whispered frantically. The band didn't know whether to play. Andy stood frozen as the screen faded to commercial. America had just watched something rare, not a meltdown, but a boundary. Within minutes, social media exploded. Leanne Morgan just did what everyone wishes they could. Andy Cohen crossed a line. Kindness isn't weakness. Clips of the walkout went viral. Commentators argued. Fans defended. Critics dissected every word. Backstage, Leanne sat quietly in her dressing room. Hands trembling, not from regret, but adrenaline. A producer knocked gently. "You okay?" they asked. Leanne nodded. "I am," she said. "I just chose myself." Andy, meanwhile, faced a different reality. Alone in his office, he replayed the moment again and again. The pause before she stood, the certainty in her voice, the applause. He hadn't expected that. The next day, Andy addressed the incident on air. "Last night got heated," he admitted. Leanne felt disrespected, and that was never my intention. But the apology felt incomplete. Leanne released a simple statement. "I believe in laughter that heals. I won't apologize for that." Fans rallied harder. Days later, something unexpected happened. Andy reached out privately. They met off camera, no audience, no lights. "I pushed," Andy admitted. "I thought tension made good TV." Leanne nodded. "It does," she said, "until it costs someone their dignity." Andy was quiet for a long moment. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "Not for the question, but for not listening when you answered." Leanne smiled, the real one. "I forgive you," she said. "But next time, let silence teach before pressure does." The story didn't end with a feud. It ended with reflection. The walkout became a cultural moment, not because of drama, but because it reminded people that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply stands up and walks away.